What is good? We're back. We have a way too early rookie mock draft. 2026, Superflex tight end premium as per usual. Got a nice little trifecta here for your pleasure. We got the man, the myth, the legend, Shevdor Sanders. What's up, man? How you doing?
You know me, brother. Any day on this side of dirt's a good one.
All right. And we got the Devi Dojo sensei, Dustin, hanging around in them Devi streets. A little bit more of a college background, so we thought he'd be the man for the job for this episode. Dustin, how you doing?
Hey, Casey, man, I'm doing good, man. I'm just excited to be here, talk about my favorite thing in the world, which is just these prospects. A little too early for the casual Dynasty listener, so I'm here tonight to tell you all about these guys.
Yeah, and we're excited. So we're going to run through one round. We're going to let Dustin handle it 1 through 12, and then we'll come back with some friendly discourse of what we like, what we didn't like. Why isn't this guy here? Why isn't this guy there? And we know that probably a third of this list will turn over by the end of the season, right? There'll be new guys entering. Some of these guys will fall back a little bit. You know, Isaiah Bond's a good one from last year, right? Was near the top of the first going into it and then dropping way back. Genty certainly wasn't the top dog going in. You know, the previous year, nobody was like, oh my God, this guy coming out this next year is going to be insane, right? It's good, but not exactly where it was. And we can go as far back as a Penn State quarterback who may or may not be on this list, another Penn State guy. But, you know, who's I'm drawing a blank on the Penn State quarterback from years ago.
Aller.
No, that was a first round quarterback going into
Christian
the season.
Hackenberg.
There you go. There you go. All right. Take us through Superflex, tight end premium, 12 picks. Dustin, who's number one?
Yes, sir. Well, Superflex format, man. I'm going to go for that quarterback that gives you that rare Konami upside, and that is the one and the only Lenora Sellers from University of South Carolina. So, I mean, this guy, if you watched any football last season, you know what he's about. There was nobody in college football who was more electric than Lenora Sellers. He posted a 28% big-time throw rate, too, on passes that were 20 yards down the field. And there's this discourse with him. There's like this narrative already that he's not a good passer. And I would push back on that always. He needs to clean some things up, but he brings a certain element that you're not going to find with anybody else in this class. So locked and loaded, 101 there.
Yeah.
Moving on to the
I like the Sellers pick. Shout out. We're in this pod. It's from South Carolina. Shout out to the Gamecocks. But you nailed it. Must see TV for Sellers, man. Like I'm not a Gamecock fan. I don't have a college football team, but Sellers was, I thought the jump was very good for Sellers too, but continue.
Okay. Moving on at 102 there. I have a guy that I think could potentially be a first round running back. And I'm talking about none other than Jeremiah Love. You know, there's another back in this class that we may or may not talk about that could push for that RB1 spot. But right now I'm going with the guy that just gives you that juice. You saw it against Indiana in the college football playoffs, like the play of the playoffs, 98 yards to the house. He's a threat to do that any play. What I really like about Jeremiah Love is that when he came in as a freshman, he got some work behind Audric Estime. And then the next season, he put on 20 pounds. And so you see that because that was always the knock on him, his frame. Can he handle the hits at the next level? That's what we got to see. And we got to see about his durability going forward. But yeah, locked and loaded, 102, because I am projecting him to get that first round capital.
Man, Jeremiah Love is like he just reminds me so much of DeAndre Swift when he was at Georgia. Like but he's more explosive. If that seems so, that's one of my favorite guys. I think this guy is going to be sticky, but I really like Jeremiah Love. I like the long speed. He reminds me of DeAndre Swift. Remember, DeAndre Swift was really cool until he wasn't, and they stopped throwing him passes and all that stuff. So just don't think that Jeremiah Love's not good because I compared him to DeAndre Swift.
You know what I'm really excited about him is his offensive coordinator, Mike Denbrock, who, if you guys know anything about Mike Denbrock, he was a guy calling plays for Jaden Daniels there at LSU. Now you don't have Riley Leonard there to rush for 1,000 yards as well. So yeah. I think the offense is really going to funnel through Jeremiah Love, and that's why I'm predicting him to get that first round capital. I think he could get 1,500 yards. I think he's going to be in consideration for the Doak Walker Award, and I'm just over the moon for him. But moving on, I got the 103 here, Jordan Tyson. Now, if any of you listening have followed me throughout this journey, you will know that Jordan Tyson is the wide receiver one of my heart. I'm starstruck by this guy. I love the adversity that he's faced. And look, the pushback on Jordan Tyson is going to be the injury history, and I get it. But something I preach all the time is what you go through molds you. He sat out all of 2023 rehabbing from the injury. He transferred from Colorado and went to Arizona State, paired up with a guy named Sam Levitt, and they just lit the college football world on fire. He had 75 catches, over 1,100 yards, and 10 touchdowns. And look, they were cooking. And if he hadn't suffered another shoulder injury, they would have beaten Texas in the college football playoffs. But right now, he's locked and loaded as my wide receiver one. You will actually find it pinned at my Twitter, Empire Elite FF. Locked and loaded back in March said he's the wide receiver one of this class, and I'm standing on that.
Yeah, shame we didn't get to see him in the biggest stage, because those moments can help make or break the public opinion on those island games like that. And I think he certainly would have had himself a day. All right, who you got at 4?
At 4 here, I got the Gumbo Gunslinger. One of my favorite quarterbacks in this class, Garrett Nussmeier. Look, he's got everything that I look for. He's got that fearless elite arm type talent level. You know, he flashes that arm arrogance is what I'm trying to say. Is if he's going to see it, he's going to rip it, like for better or worse at times. I comp him to early career Tony Romo because of that. I mean, similar frame, similar build, similar play style, how they'll be able to climb the pocket and sometimes make those errant throws. So that's something that Nuss really has to clean up. But I mean, he's got a pedigree, right? We all know about his dad, Doug Nussmeier there. Coached offenses at Bama, Florida, Michigan. So you could tell he's been in quarterback rooms his entire life. And I mean, he gets
in
knocked
New
a lot
in New Orleans currently.
Yes, sir. So I mean, there's been chatter already that maybe, you know, the Saints are prepping for this, and you really can't see that happening. I mean, I'm over the moon for this kid. As a first-year starter in the SEC, he threw for 4,000 yards. And I don't think that gets talked about enough, because it's not easy to do. That was 10th best in program history. And projecting forward, recently LSU has shown us a history of these second-year starting quarterbacks in the system. And they just go out and win Heismans. I'm talking about Joe Burrow in his second season. I'm talking about Jaden Daniels in his second season. Nussmeier has a bunch of wide receivers now who he was just quoted as saying, I don't think any of them run slower than 4.4 in the 40-yard dash.
Yeah. So
he's got a bunch of weapons there on the outside. Look, I think he's going to smash. Chev, what do you think about Nuss?
A lot of hate in his heart.
You
got hate in your heart, let it out.
You know, we have been in the group chat with this for months now. And so cool. He threw for 4,000 yards. He's got the off schedule ability. My problem is that this system lends itself to him just being able to do whatever he wants and have the creative license to do whatever he wants. He's got the embarrassment of riches. I do see the ceiling. I just see the flaws. I see the cracks in the armor, and the most notable crack being his presence against pressure. It's a totally different guy. Just like Tony Romo in the playoffs, when the pressure's on, Garrett Nussmeier turns into just regular season Joe Flacco. Like, just statuesque, like can't escape, can't get away. Like, it's just not good. I want to see him be better against pressure. I want to see him create against pressure. That's my only gripe. I've expressed this to Dustin a number of times. I knew we would have this conversation, but I see the ceiling. I just see the cracks in the armor. He could very well be, and I do think that he could play his way into being in contention for the number 1 overall pick, but he has to clean up his presence against pressure for me. All
right. Save it. We'll get into some Nussmeier. Let's keep it moving. Let's go number 5.
We'll be back with more FFD after a short commercial break. If you're as serious as we are about Dynasty, you gotta be playing on FFPC. They are now the proud home of over 2,000 Dynasty leagues, and not a single league has ever folded. Incredible. Drafts are kicking off every day, so go over to myffpc.com and take your game to the next level. New users get $25 off their first league using code FFD. Holler at your boys.
All right, keeping it moving. We got 105. I went with another quarterback, and this is one that I'm fully convinced the NFL is going to fall in love with. I'm talking about Cade Klubnik from Clemson.
Oh, no.
Yeah, look, see that reaction right there is how the entire community reacts when you say this man's name, because there's already he's one of these guys that the community has a preconceived notion after an admittedly bad sophomore season, and they just haven't updated the file. But here's what happened, Chev. He matured, right? He developed. Go figure. More time in the same system, he got better. And what he does well, he's an intermediate surgeon. He's not like a bazooka type vertical chunker, but he's going to see it in the middle of the field and he's going to rip it. And I think he was just born and bred to play in like the Sean McVay system, where they're going to have some RPOs, some quick looks, playing under center, give him a good run game, play action, hit you over the top. He would kill in that system. He's a prototypical modern type of quarterback for that. He reminds me a lot of Bo Nix in the sense of how the community looks at him, right? Bo Nix, we had already decided 3 years ago what Bo Nix was going to be at the next level. And he just continued to develop, and he continued to show you translatable traits that we just ignored because of how we felt about him. So I want to keep bringing him up his name and show everybody just how much he has developed.
Yeah. Took Nix a while, had a whole bunch of stink on him, went somewhere, and then he got drafted by, there's not that many people that would have turned Bo Nix into what Bo Nix just got turned into. That was a hand in glove fit, but we'll come back to Cade, because I don't love that either. All right, number 6, who you got?
Number 6, I got Nick Singleton there at Penn State.
Love it.
So there we go. Finally got you on my side there. Look, this is a guy that I think he's definitely going to get that early day 2 draft cap, and like that's dynasty gold, right? Once you get that draft cap for these running backs, you know exactly what you have. They're probably going to start right away. And we know that typically on these dynasty rosters, running backs are going to score you points early and often. And he's a guy that's been in the Devy scene for a while. He came in and crushed it as a freshman, had a quote unquote down sophomore season. And this last year really showed you what he's all about. He's a burner. He runs 4.3. He has a laser timed confirmed 4.38 40-yard dash already. He broke Saquon Barkley's squat record of 655 pounds. So he's just one of those gym rats. He's an athletic freak, and he's another guy that's just developed year after year.
Yeah.
If he had come out last season like we all anticipated, I would have put him up with the Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins. I would have put him in that same tier with them,
Absolutely.
and I think he would have gotten similar draft cap.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely was a shocker that backfield all came back for Penn State there. So, but I like Singleton's game, and I agree with you. I think he would have been high up there this year. So hopefully he didn't blow it. God willing, there's no injury or anything, or he just has a bad season and hurts himself a little bit. But I don't think that's going to be the case. I think Penn State's going to be rock solid. So
he's so good.
Who you got at number 7 there, Dustin?
7. I got another wide receiver coming out of our pipeline here, Ohio State, Carnell Tate. And look, I've already said Tyson's my clear number 1 in this class, but I think that Carnell Tate is the guy in this class that could push him if everything breaks right. We're talking about the next man up. Of course, you're going to have Jeremiah Smith on the outside, dictating coverages out there, and he's going to be the next guy to clean up in the middle, over the middle of the field. He really works those intermediate routes, those digs, comebacks. He's a surgeon at that stuff. And looking back at it, I didn't realize just how productive he actually was as being the third read in the offense last season with Emeka Egbuka out there, Jeremiah Smith dominating as a freshman. Carnell Tate had 52 catches, 733 yards, and 4 touchdowns. And you really saw it in the playoffs there.
Yeah.
What was going on, right? They began to spread the ball out and they attacked vertically. And you saw his role in this offense. And now he's going to really take over that Emeka Egbuka role. I think he does a lot of the same things that he does. So Brian Hartline's now the offensive coordinator out there. Of course, the very famous wide receiver coach there that's been recruiting all these 5 stars. He's now the offensive coordinator and he's going to be calling plays. So I think he's just going to eat. And I see him projecting and doing a lot of the same things at the next level that these nice slot guys do, these PPR monsters that just eat up volume of targets and they consistently give you good fantasy points. So Very excited about him.
When in doubt, take the Ohio State receiver. What?
Don't overthink it.
Yeah. All right. Number 8. What do we got? QB. We got a first tight end making the list here. Running back, wide receiver. Where are we going?
No tight end, unfortunately, but we do have another quarterback. And this is a guy that I'm super excited for. And I'm talking about Sam Levitt. This would be Jordan Tyson's quarterback. And look, I know you guys saw this. I know you guys saw this down the season. Sam Levitt went from a guy who was an afterthought to an architect.
Mm-hmm.
He transferred from Michigan State. Nobody was talking about him. But by midseason, he looked like the offense there that Kenny Dillingham orchestrated there in Arizona State. It looked like it was created for him and that he had the keys. Down the stretch of the season, there was no better quarterback and wide receiver combo than these two. He's just got poise, man. Like, that's what I really loved about him. And that's what really sold me on him. He played like a guy who had been out there for 3 years, not as a redshirt freshman like he was. So I think he processes very well. On the whole year, he only had 4 turnover-worthy plays. And he's sneaky athletic. I'm pretty sure he's going to run in the 4.4 or at least 4.5.
Yeah, we love those sneaky athletes now.
Of course. Wonder what color he is.
Oh man.
Another Anglo-Saxon assassin? Is that what you're telling me?
From
the same school?
I'm calling it right now.
Oh man. Oh, you did not. Right, another Anglo.
So we got number 8. We got a quarterback, Sam Levitt, Arizona State. Who's coming in at number 9?
Number 9. This might be my favorite player in this class. I'm talking about running back Jonah Coleman from the University of Washington. And I really hope Big D's listening to this because he's my guy. He first popped in the scene back at Arizona, right? Playing for Jedd Fisch. Combined, he had over 1,200 yards. And then he moved on to Washington with Jedd Fisch. Obviously, once Kalen DeBoer left, Jedd Fisch was hired, and he came with his coach, a 230-pound tank, shiftier than you would imagine. When I put on that All-22, I was just floored by the level of athleticism that this guy showed. He's not like a Travion Henderson in the sense that he's going to go out there and run legitimate routes on the outside, but he presents a good target to the quarterback. He's gonna work those screens. On tape, he hurdled a dude, kind of like Jeremiah Love that we talked about. And now this year, he's cut down to 222 pounds, right? 8% body fat. He just looks like he's in that proverbial best shape of his life, right? A guy that looks like he's really set to break out. Not even break out. He broke out before. He had over 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns last year, but he looks like he's set to take that next step. And I think he could potentially get day 2 draft capital again. He's my early running back 3 of this class. And I just love him. And I don't think enough people are talking about him. So I really wanted to get him on here tonight.
Got to spread the word, knock on them doors.
Yeah.
Bang on them doors. Have you heard the word of Jehovah today?
John,
hey,
have you heard the word?
I shared it with Chev. And I think
Jehoshaphat. Can we call him Jehoshaphat? Is that
Jehoshaphat? That is beautiful.
Have you heard the word of Jehoshaphat today?
Oh, I'm making that into a picture. Okay.
All right, number 10. Who we got?
Number 10, we got Makai Lemon from my USC Trojans. Look, honestly, I might be a little higher on him than some, but I feel great about this pick. And he's the early consensus wide receiver 3 in a class that's wide open at the wide receiver position. He quietly led USC in receptions last year with 52 for 764 yards. And that was with Zachariah Branch in the mix. We know that just didn't work out. Obviously, now he's at Georgia. And now that really allows Makai Lemon to step in and be that number 1 target. Him and Jaden Mayava showed great rapport and connection in the limited sample that we did get to see. And now early reports out of Springer that they're just taking off. He's got a running mate there in Jacoby Lane that I also really like at USC. But I think this guy, just the way he wins, it's going to translate to the next level. He really plays out of the slot, but he can line up outside too. He can win at the top of his route stem, but not consistently. He does struggle when guys press him at the line. So he is going to have to work at that at the next level if he truly wants to take his game to the next level. But he's always been efficient. So now I'm using the formula that the opportunity is going to equal a little more production now because he's always been efficient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's another USC, at least like a smaller maybe it's him. There's one guy at USC that I really like. I couldn't tell you what his name was, but definitely a smaller guy.
If I had to guess, you like Mekhi Lemon and I like Jacoby Lane.
All right. Well, we'll have to research that. All right. Let's go pick 11 and 12. Who you got?
Okay. 11, I got another running back. This is Darius Taylor from Minnesota. Now, this is a guy who embodies toughness and reliability for me. He took over the backfield as a true freshman, and if it wasn't for a hamstring injury, we'd be talking about him as one of the most productive career running backs in all of Minnesota history. He followed that season up. Last year, he had 986 yards and 10 touchdowns. Look, he's a physical downhill runner, and he's got that wrestling background. Casey, you and I talked about him a little bit pre-show. Mm-hmm. You can tell that he has that wrestling background in the way that he runs, the way that he absorbs contact with leverage. He's going to keep his feet driving through those blows. He's a guy that's always going to be falling forward. There's no dancing at the line, right? He's just straightforward. He's going to press the hole and he commits. So not very flashy, but he's a punishing type guy. And I think he's really underrated as a receiver coming out of the backfield. He's definitely the best pass blocking back in this class. So that doesn't really do much for fantasy, but it is going to keep him out there. Well, and coaches are just going to fall in love with the dude. He does all the dirty work.
Yeah. All right. So number 12, it's got to be Katron Allen or Drew Aller or maybe Eli Stowers if we're talking tight end premium, right?
No, it's not. It's actually John Mateer from Oklahoma. Look, I took a swing on upside here, and there may be no quarterback in this class with more of that upside than John Mateer. He's at Oklahoma now. He entered the transfer portal, right? He was at Washington State. He sat behind a guy, Cam Ward, right?
Washington State, is that even a program anymore? Where?
Look, don't talk dirty about my Pac-12, man. RIP.
Okay. I love Pac-12 after dark. Bring it back.
I miss it, man. You put the kids to bed and then you could go watch some more football all night. But look, I love this guy. I think he's like Cam Ward. You can tell he spent some time with him because he could throw from all angles. John Mateer had my favorite throw last year. They ran a naked boot to the left and he instantly had pressure in his face. He was able to reset with a guy bearing down on him, threw it, and he threw it over the top of the corner with the safety bearing down for a touchdown. That's the definition of an NFL level throw.
Yeah.
And he threw 29 touchdowns. He had a 26% big time throw rate on passes that were 20 yards down the field. That was top 5 in the nation. So, I mean, he has a lot of the tools and the upside that I look for. He had over 1,000 yards rushing as well. He talked about it now, like, hey, at Washington State, I was the best athlete on the team and I had to carry them. Already at Oklahoma, he's starting to see that's not the case, but he's got weapons around him. He's got a lot of weapons around him. Oklahoma's looking pretty exciting this season. So it's a bit of a projection. I'm taking a swing here. We do, of course, have to see how he's going to play against SEC level competition. And his throwing motion is a little wonky. He kind of has that little wind up delivery, but he can throw from all angles. And I think that's coachable, but we just have to see it.
All right. Drew Aller doesn't make the list. Katron Allen doesn't make the list. We got no tight ends on the list. I don't like that. Stowers is really interesting from Vandy and Sadiq. I think at Oregon would probably be the 2 tight ends. Stowers is probably going to be the lead dog in the clubhouse. I would think for the tight end position coming into the season, right? And then we got no Drew Aller on there. Why no Drew Aller?
Maybe I'm just a hater, Casey. I just don't see it with him. I think in big games, he plays small. Just straight up when the lights are big, he doesn't put up his best performance. I've been waiting for years for them to take the training wheels off of Drew Aller. Like I was big on him as a recruit coming out of high school. He's my type of quarterback, big and tall, rocket arm, and we just haven't seen it yet, which leads me to think, like, are they protecting him? Now, of course, the pushback that people will often give is, well, they haven't had the best wide receivers out there. They got 2 really good running backs, so of course they're going to run the ball. But at some point, teams caught on to that. And when it was time to adjust, they never made those adjustments. Mm-hmm. And just little things. He's never gone to the Manning Passing Academy, which is completely open to the public. He just refuses to go. I'm just not fully convinced that he wants to put in the effort to be the best that he possibly can be. 5 yards per pass attempt in the playoffs. Oof.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, if you're not in the free Discord channel, what are you doing? Come mock it up, because mock it up.
Yeah, no, certainly I think he would have came out and probably his stock would have rose pretty high because the class wasn't super great and people were really feeling him for whatever reason. I would say that I'm not the biggest Drew Aller fan at all. I'm also just not a huge Cade Klubnik fan. So the fact that he was up there and like Cade Klubnik didn't do shit when their receivers sucked, and now they got good receivers all around him. And where's Cade Klubnik been in big games? Nowhere. Like, he stinks. He's the most mid quarterback I think I've seen, him and Drew Aller. Like, I don't like either one of them, really. But I will say that, to your point, Cade Klubnik has been on and every big college football analyst's mouth of the number one quarterback coming into the season, right? I do think both of those guys did. I thought Cade took a step forward. I thought Aller definitely took a step forward this past year. And as far as, what they did in the regular season, leading their team around, I've been waiting for it with Cade Klubnik forever. And I don't ever see it. I'm just like, I watch this guy all the time. They heap so much praise on him. And I'm like, he is just okay. He's just okay. There's Lenore Sellers over Klubnik 100 times out of 100 for me there. And then Nussmeier, I would say, not a whole lot of, I haven't seen a ton of Nussmeier. I saw maybe 6 games from Nussmeier last year. Maybe, just personally. Levitt, haven't seen a whole lot of. And was there another? Oh, yeah. I don't know anything about the Oklahoma quarterback. So would you say quarterback is the strength of this class? Is it a good quarterback class?
Early on, that appears to be the strength, right? Now, you got guys predicting Arch Manning is going to declare too.
Yeah, well, and we should point that out. A lot of people say they want a bunch of snaps for Arch and a bunch of games played. So that's why he's not on this list, because a lot of people are pretty much preparing that Arch is going to go one more year. Almost, it's pretty well set in stone unless something crazy happened at this point, right? So that's why he's not on the list.
Yeah, it's the Manning way. They've already shown that, especially if you go back and look at Eli, how long he played. Like, it's just what they do. So I didn't even include him in here. Obviously, we have Lenoris, who we've talked about, but he's not a surefire bet for 2026 either.
No.
I mean, he was 19 years old as a first-time SEC starter last year. I mean, in this day and age where I think NFL scouts are really starting to, like those quarterbacks that stay in school, develop a little more, get that experience, I can definitely see him staying in school and trying to compete and let that program continue to build around him. I mean, Lenore Sellers did already turn down $8 million an NIL package to leave, and he wanted to stay there. So kind of points to his character. So I could definitely see him staying. Yeah. So that would definitely weaken the class, but Lenore Sellers obviously sits atop. I really like Cade Klubnik, and I didn't want to. I was right there with you, Casey.
I wanted to like him, and I don't like him.
I didn't. Every time I watched him, I agreed. He didn't look like he did anything special. But when you turn on the tape, to me, it told a different story. And I saw him just doing NFL level stuff, manipulating with his eyes, layering throws over the middle and on the outside. He just did a lot of good stuff like that. I was surprised to see.
He's better than DJ Uiagalelei, so we could at least give him
yes, absolutely better than him. He was a better runner than I initially gave him credit for. I think he had 450 rushing yards. He has on tape that 70+ yard rush. He just did a lot of things. Like, he stacked in this second year in the Garrett Riley offensive system. He just developed, simple as that. And now I'm continuing to project. He's now going into a third year in this Garrett Riley system. And he looks like he just has total command. You mentioned the weapons that he has, Antonio Williams, obviously Bryant Wesco and TJ Moore, those two amazing freshmen that are in that vaunted 2027 class. So he's got the weapons on the outside. So I am projecting him to have a good statistical output in this season. And I think the way scouts are raving about him already, like Daniel Jeremiah has already talked about him, Todd McShay, they love this guy's film too. So I am baking some of that into this projection too, that I've heard these guys that I trust, they've said some good things about him. So I do think he's going to go high in the draft.
Yeah. I think there'll be there's going to be draft capital most likely on all those guys that you're talking about, unless something crazy happens. Chev, what do you got? I know you're dying here.
I will remain. Look, Jordan Addison got Kenny Pickett drafted in the first round, and there's no telling how much heavy lifting the Clemson wide receivers are doing with this whole deal. I cannot co-sign Cade Klubnik in any way, shape, or form.
Right now, I would say.
Sanders.
I need to see this season, and
I need to see him. I need to see him take another step forward as far as like taking the game, being the conductor,
right,
as opposed to just kind of being the bus driver.
I
need to take that step forward, because that's what he's going to have to do at the next level. Is you're going to, if you're going to get high draft capital, you're going to be inserted into a room and hey, make the best of this. And it's not going to be ideal like it is with everything at Clemson, where you've got ridiculous. I mean, they're the Diet Alabama of the last like 8 or 9 years. So you won't step into that. So I need to see a little bit more in terms of the way that he performs and carries when needed. Like, you've got to do some exceptional shit, because you've got a bunch of exceptional players around you. Love Bryant Wesco, love TJ Moore, love Antonio Williams. I mean, they're going to put him in positions to where he will shine, and I need him to be big in those big moments.
Yeah, and to be fair, Dustin, like I said, a lot of the pundits have Cade as the number one guy, so you'd be low on him essentially in their situations, right?
Yeah. Right, because I'm right there with you guys. Like, I did see a lot of things that I liked on tape. However, I fully recognize that he has things that he has to work on. He does stare down his wide receivers at times too, and it's cost him. So I mean, straight up, he's also only like 207 pounds, something like that. So I mean, he's got some work to do, but I do like the layering ability on his throws. I think he's super accurate. And I think coaches are going to fall in love with him because they can trust him. He's not going to go out there and make any boneheaded throws. He's going to run the offense, and he's probably going to score points, and he's going to consistently get you first downs. And I think that matters to a lot of these scouts, because they don't want to put a guy out there that can't run the offense.
I think what at least seemingly this class right now, and maybe some of the other guys that are below these guys right now, I know, Beck and, there's some other guys that are a little lower on this list right now, but we're getting back to a point where a lot of guys play a lot of college football. For a little while there, we were really getting to a point where it was just like, you have a good season, you have a good 13 games or 8 games if you're Anthony Richardson or whoever, and you come out. I mean, and obviously you should, if somebody's saying, hey, you're going to go in the first round here and you're going to make a bunch of money and get developed. I'm not blaming anybody for that, but I think what's happening right now, like, a lot of these quarterbacks are going to end up having a lot of games played, seemingly, right? That you've kind of talked through on this list. We saw Sellers be super duper young the season before, right? And then kind of come in and play some games, and then this year kind of took the reins, right? So
And Sellers has a lot to work on as well. That's why I do think he could stay another season. I mean, he had 11 fumbles last season.
Yeah,
his time to throw was at 3.3, so he was really holding on to the ball, trying to be Superman a lot. You saw him sometimes he could break out, but I mean, he's got to clean up the fumbles as well.
But it was you were seeing game by game growth with him. Like that's what I was really liking there. And now maybe it tops out, and maybe he can't do this or that, but I love the tools there, and that's why, for fantasy purposes, I agree with you there. Okay,
so
go ahead.
Yeah, to your point, I wanted to talk about Lenore Sellers too, because if he's in this class, he's got the highest ceiling of any quarterback from a fantasy perspective or otherwise, just because, to Casey's point, he made just cosmic improvements week over week in SEC play.
Yes.
And then the guy that you got at the end of the season against Clemson was kind of the finished product for that year. And you were like, all right, I see the vision now. And it is aggressive. It is very aggressive. Like, we've talked about it, Dustin, I don't know if you're going to throw the comp out there. I don't know if you want to do that on air.
Yeah, for Lenoris?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this one. I mean, I got my comp for him as he's Dante Culpepper. Right, he's Dante Culpepper with the frame, with the big arm, but with more athletic juice. Right,
and that's the thing, is he's so athletic too. But I can't get past the fact that, like, it was a different quarterback almost every week over week over week for Sellers. And if he's taking that approach, I mean, you said it, maybe we've hit the ceiling, but I would contend that we haven't seen anything close to his ceiling yet.
No, we haven't seen the ceiling because he still has some steps to take as a passer, and that's scary because you could see it like, and to your point, Casey, he was really leading that team because if you looked at them, they didn't really have the best offensive weapons. In fact, a lot of times those wide receivers on the outside were letting him down. Now, hopefully, maybe Nick Harbor can take that step and become a wide receiver and not just an athlete. I mean, please God, that would be incredible. They really have to step up. Lenore Sellers' younger brother is actually on the team now too as a wide receiver. So maybe we'll see that connection this year. But super, super excited about this guy. He's going to be 20 years old this entire season. And like you guys said, the week-to-week growth that he took, and now going into this offseason, knowing you're the guy.
Right. Well, that's the interesting part with South Carolina. I feel like everybody's hoping that the whole thing takes a step, and Sellers is going to be the part of that. And that's really for me what melds just that quarterback that is like, all right, this guy's unflappable. He's got the body armor on. You can't take him down. You got to cut his head off to kill him. And you know, those killers. And if Sellers comes in there and takes this South Carolina game program to another level, like that's what, like when I look at Cade Klubnik, I don't like Deshaun Watson and Lawrence took that program to a whole nother level. Everybody knew what it was. Like they were in charge. They were running the show. You had to come out and cut their heads off because them boys would just keep coming. You weren't going to shut them down. You'd keep coming. Now, obviously Clemson had an awesome team around him. That's a big part of, you know, kind of what's going on. But that's what you're trying to see at South Carolina. They weren't always like, I'm not a South Carolina native, but Clemson stunk. And then, you know, hey, all of a sudden you're getting church money and, you know, things are starting to turn around. And, you know, but yeah, I mean, that's the truth. But South Carolina now is at the turning point where it seems like, hey, there's something building here. Not that they are, there's something building for them. And I think if Sellers can make that jump and be the face of that team that is just that galvanizes it, to me, that would be really hard to knock him off the pedestal that I'd put him on.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think he's got like a Vince Young type of collegiate ceiling. Like that's where this ends, is him being Vince. Yes. That's how good I think
that would be incredible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Vince
I don't
Young,
know if that happens. I don't know if that happens in full this year, right? But if he comes back to school and like that 2026 season and he's in the 27 class with Arch, I think he's going to do some incredible stuff
with Arch and really DJ Lagway.
Yes.
Yes.
That class would be incredible.
Sick. All right. Let's get to wrapping this thing up. In general, what would you say the strength of your 26 picks are, and how comfortable are you with this class? Because we're already at the phase of it's all about 27, right? And that's just kind of how this goes, because there's these 2 or 3 low-hanging fruits there where everybody's super excited for it. And then, you know, guys are going to get skipped over. Like Singleton's been around a while, right? So people aren't as excited about him. His luster has faded a little bit. Sellers could be a little bit of a shiny object. Jeremiah Love's interesting to a lot of people. Tyson, I think, is going to make a lot of people excited. They don't have the pizzazz that 27 name cachet has on it right now. So I think there's downplay of the 26 picks. Should we be doing that? No,
quite frankly, just because it's too early, and it feels like we do this every year, especially when there's a class on the horizon that you know is going to be great. We just had this happen in 2024. When you're in the 2023 class, everybody was downplaying it and saying that you need to sell those picks and get the 2024 picks, which of course, 2024 turned out to be a great class, but you could have rebuilt your entire team in that 2023 draft class if you drafted correctly. And I think we're starting to see the same thing now, where people are already saying you need to move off these picks, get 2027. And look, 2027 isn't a sure thing either. There's a lot of prospects there that I love, but nothing in this life is guaranteed. So in a lot of leagues, and we've talked about this with some other people in the Discord, is it's almost better to start collecting those 2026 picks now because they're so cheap, the way that you can acquire them. And there's so many players that I think will be risers in this class, like John Mateer, who we really haven't talked much about. He was my last pick in this mock going to Oklahoma. I think he's a guy that will be a big riser. You know, he squats over 600 pounds like the last Oklahoma quarterback that did that in Jalen Hurts. He can throw from all angles. He can process well. He takes care of the ball for the most part, can rush. Like things like that. There's always going to be risers. So I can't confidently sit here and say, sell all these picks. This class stinks. It doesn't have the name cachet, like you said, and it does seem like it's weaker right now at the wide receiver position. And of course, that's a premium position. So if you're weak at that, people are going to say, oh, we don't want that. We're looking at Jeremiah Smith. We're looking at Ryan Williams, Cam Coleman back in 2027.
Right.
We don't care about you guys. But there's some dogs in this class.
Right. Right. And kind of how I started it off and how you're alluding to there, like there's going to be some more guys that come along that really, solidify themselves as being, a stud. And they're not going to be on this top 12 list right now. It's just going to be one or two guys that come out of the blue. And it's not because you didn't know who they were. It's just that that's what happens every single year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some guy just for whatever reason just comes on and does his thing and shoots up the boards. Chev, did you have anything else before we close out here? I didn't want to pass you by.
You hit the nail on the head. That's exactly what I was going to say. Is just every single year we have someone come out of the woodworks and they're going to be the hottest name in the cycle. If you would have told me before the season started last year that Ashton Genty would be a top 10 pick, everybody looked at you like you had three heads. You told me Ollie Gordon would be a 6th round pick. Yeah, everybody look at you like you had three heads, or assume something catastrophic had happened to Ollie Gordon. So yeah, obviously the 26 picks are very cheap because there's not a Jeremiah Smith. Everybody's in the Jeremiah Smith sweepstakes, not assuming that he's just automatically going to come out. So yeah, you hit the nail on the head, man. I just want to caution everyone. Like, we got to let some real football start happening so we can have some more informed opinions. You don't have to finalize your opinion on what this class is right now and be sitting there with the boo-boo face come 2026 rookie time.
Yeah, as long as it's not Nussmeier, right?
I have never uttered never Nussmeier, not even if there's a fire about Garrett Nussmeier. I'm not going to do that. That is strictly reserved for Jalen Waddle and maybe now DK Metcalf.
Oh, ooh, we're gonna have to get some pot of the face bets going there. Dustin, where can we find more Dustin? And you'll be seeing more Dustin on the channel and on the network here as time goes on. We'll get him back during the season and all that jazz to talk more prospects. But where can we find you on the Twitters and all that stuff?
Yeah, on Twitter, you can find me at Empire Elite FF. It should be there on your screen. Everything I've got going on is there. So just follow me on there. The sensei and co-host of the Devi Dojo, where we're talking college prospects year round. Actually, today we just released an episode where we were talking about the freshman class coming in. So that's the 2028 NFL draft class. Breaking down some of those guys' projections. Spring camp just happened. And so we're looking at some of those guys right now.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. If you made it this far, we're looking for a new social media manager, mostly Twitter. So if you're interested, shoot us an email or hit us up on any of the platforms of your choice, Instagram, Twitter, whatever. Chev, take us home, baby.
Well, we're going to leave you with this. There's ball watchers and there's ball knowers. Assign yourselves accordingly. Till next time.
Peace.